As the Prophet Muhammad said, "Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamity." It's a reminder from our Prophet, giving not only changes lives, it also protects us from mishaps. When we give generously, we receive blessings in return. It's not about the size of your donation, it's about the consistency of your generosity. Even your small contribution can make a big difference in people's lives. Visit umrrelief.org today and join us on our journey to changing lives.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our iTVusa show, Balancing Deen and Dunya. My name is Dr. Suzy Ismail from Cornerstone, and we're happy to continue bringing you our series during Ramadan, in which we get to speak to incredible, inspirational community leaders and learn more about the trailblazing paths that they are moving forward in our Muslim American communities. Today, we're absolutely honored to have the President and CEO of UMR, which is the sponsoring group for our show, Dr. Abed Ayoub. Dr. Abed has decades of experience in the relief sector. He was formerly the CEO for Islamic Relief USA. He holds a PhD in international development and has worked with many various humanitarian organizations, including USAID, the Voluntary Foreign Aid Organization, and many more. Currently, in addition to being the president and CEO of UMR, he is also a faculty member at the Lilly School of Philanthropy at Indiana University. So help me in welcoming Dr. Abed to our show.
Thank you so much. Thank
Assalamu
you.
alaikum. How are you, Dr. Abed? Thank you so much for being on our show, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you and your audience.
Thank you. So, Dr. Abed, looking at your experience in the field of relief work in terms of humanitarian efforts, it's clear that you've been invested in this area of work for a long time. What started you on this path? What is it that got you interested in this field to begin with?
First of all, I was born in a refugee camp, and I grew up in another refugee camp. I know how to be on the other side. So, alhamdulillah, we made it and we were able to survive. And alhamdulillah, now it's our time to give back.
Alhamdulillah. So it's amazing, subhanAllah, how sometimes, we go through difficulty in our lives so that we can relieve difficulty, maybe by the grace of Allah, in the lives of others. So it sounds like that might have been your path as well.
That's true.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So, I see the work that UMR is doing on the ground, not just locally on a domestic and national level, but I also see the work that you guys are doing overseas. And I know with Gaza, we are hearing bits and pieces that humanitarian aid is going to start, being let in a little bit. We're hoping that that's what we'll see. What is UMR's role, especially when it comes to a situation as devastating, a genocide that's occurring in Gaza? How does UMR fit into the picture in terms of humanitarian aid?
Well, when the crisis happened, we immediately activated our emergency plan. And we're always ready for something like that. So definitely this disaster, the magnitude of this disaster is so huge, it's much bigger than any organization or even a country that can handle. Immediately, we form a coalition with 8 organizations, some of them in the United States, or some of them inside Gaza. And we start looking for access, how we can immediately assist the people on the ground. Alhamdulillah, we successfully did it. So we were able to supply hospitals with even diesel. We gave them some medical supplies. We gave them food and so on. So we look for access, and as much as we can. Definitely, we are a humanitarian organization. Have limitation. We have limited financial resources. We have limited human resources. But alhamdulillah, so our job is always to look for ways how we can get the aid as possible to the maximum that we can give, inshallah.
Okay, subhanallah, may Allah Azza wa Jal, make it easy on those who are suffering and victims of this genocide. And may Allah ease pathways for organizations like UMR to continue to be able to help those that are suffering in Gaza and in many places around the world.
Alhamdulillah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey, particularly into the field of leadership in humanitarian work. So leading an organization like UMR, I know, is no easy feat. Having been the CEO of Islamic Relief, which is an incredible organization as well. And so much of your work has also, led you on the path of leading others. How did that kind of pan out?
Well, I'm an activist by nature. I never look at myself as a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
I always look at myself as an activist, and I really want to give back. I believe that the humanitarian work should be from human to human, regardless on their faith, color, or gender. That's why you find UMR all over. So far, we're trying to help in the United States, and we're trying to help outside of the United States. When I came to California, I was involved in the mosque. I, volunteered, and I volunteered with other organizations. I volunteered with most of national organizations and served in certain boards. And that's why volunteerism is actually in my blood. I volunteered for Islamic Relief for almost 15 years before I became the CEO of Islamic Relief. Alhamdulillah, it's volunteerism. We believe in it, and this is the zakah of my time. This is the zakah of my knowledge. So right now, it's after I joined Indiana University, so I try to spread knowledge all over. It's not only in the United States. We also go globally. Actually, next month I'm going to Malaysia, so to teach there. So, Alhamdulillah, these things will give me comfort. These things will make me satisfied internally that it's my turn right now to give back, and my turn to spread the knowledge and the experience that we have.
Okay, subhanAllah, that's beautiful. And it's incredible that, you're not just working on the ground, active with these organizations, but you're also teaching others how to maybe create their own organizations or be involved in leading other organizations as well. So you mentioned, Dr. Abed, that you grew up in a refugee camp. You also spent time in another refugee camp. One of the things that we often see in the refugee work that we do at Cornerstone is some of the clients that we work with tend to exhibit a great deal of emotional resilience, and others struggle with that. What do you think it is in your experience that allowed you to overcome the trauma of, forced migration and overcome the trauma of being in a refugee camp and come to a place where you can help others rather than dwelling on your own difficulties and struggles?
I always believe in myself, and this is how my parents raised me. So I believe if you can lose, you can lose everything. You can lose your money, you can lose whatever, but you cannot lose confidence. So if you are confident, you can do a lot. And also I focus on myself. I always try to seek knowledge. So although I have a PhD, I'm doing a second PhD in Cambridge. And hopefully, inshallah, within a year, I will finish it. So I always try to advance myself and always try to gain knowledge and spread the knowledge. So I learn while I'm teaching. So alhamdulillah, that really helped me a lot to stay on my feet and keep giving.
MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. So it sounds like there's, an element of tawakkul, right? Trusting Allah, an element of zuhd, not holding too hard onto what exists in this dunya, and an element, of course, of seeking ilm al-nafi'a, like beneficial knowledge that you can give to others.
And you always need to face the challenge. So, I advise everybody to always to do self-assessment and find where is the weaknesses and work on it. It's not just to find it. So you need to work on it and see how you can improve, and inshallah, advance.
Alhamdulillah, that's beautiful perspective, I think, that all of us can learn from. So for our viewers who are just joining us, we're excited to have Dr. Abed Ayoub with us, who is the CEO and president of UMR, one of our sponsors of this program. And if you're just joining us, I think it's the perfect time for us to watch a little video that tells us a little bit more about UMR.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Deen, and right now I'm here in Kenya with UMR, and we actually drove about 2 hours out of Wajir, and we came to this very small village. Right now behind me is a dam of very dirty water, because this is the only water that's accessible to these people who live in these villages right now. Right now I have two brothers beside me. I have Muhammad, I have Dawood. My brother Dawood, he had 100 camels. He had over 100 camels as his livestock, and that was his source of living. But because there's a drought here in this area in Kenya, all of his livestock, all of his 100 camels have died because of a drought here, because of over extreme heat and not enough access to clean water. Humans and animals are both affected from this drought. 100 camels, over 600 goats, over 600 sheep, and now he has only less than 50. And my brother Muhammad is going through the same situation, where he had livestock of a lot of sheep and a lot of goats, but because of the drought, he's left with next to zero, right? And we're here right now to just spread awareness about this situation, that here in Kenya, there are a lot of people like Dawood, like Muhammad, who are suffering from this drought. Imagine suffering in the heat all day, 24/7, during the daytime and during the nighttime, and you have nothing to drink. You don't have that fresh, refreshing beverage that you can drink, that clean water, that Pepsi, that cola. These people have nothing. So right now, I'm not even asking you to donate. I'm not asking you to give $1. I'm just spreading awareness to you about this situation. And that's why we came here. We drove 2 hours just to see this situation. And these brothers, they need our help. So I'm just here to spread awareness, and I'm here to make this video.
So subhanAllah, I think that's a good little capsule of some of the work that UMR does, reaching out to remote regions where people are suffering, where they're struggling, areas that, again, maybe we don't hear as much about on the news, but we know that there are people that are struggling and suffering. So how does UMR get aid to remote areas, such as the one that we just saw Brother Jay sharing with us in Kenya?
It's not easy. But alhamdulillah, we managed to build relation with the government. We managed to build relation with the authorities in that region, and alhamdulillah, it's really heartbreaking when you see these people still in we are in 2024 and they don't even have clean water. So they don't have any kind of technology in that area. So when they see a cell phone, it's a very strange thing for them to see, some of them. So they still use donkeys or whatever for transportations. So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to locate them and go there and help them. And in that area, they are Kenyans originally from Somalia. So what you saw in the video. And that's a neglected area. That's area that needs a lot of help. It's way underdeveloped. And alhamdulillah, we would manage to give them some clean water by digging water wells for them and try to get the water to the villages, that they don't have to walk all the way, miles and miles just to have some water to drink. So. And alhamdulillah, we have a unique program called Adopt a Village, which we look at the aid from comprehensive perspective. So from clean water to even give them solar energy, and with education, you name it, whatever we can do in that area, alhamdulillah, we are doing.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. May Allah Azza wa Jal allow you to continue to help those in need. So does your position as the head of UMR put you in a place where you get to travel to a lot of these locations, or do you find yourself more on the administrative side of things?
No, we are hands-on. So we have to go on the ground. I've been in Wajir maybe 20 times or more. And alhamdulillah, so every year I go visit there. And again, my job is very much is to open doors and make arrangements. And at the same time, also to make sure that we are doing the job right.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I think that's a beautiful kind of testament to service leadership, that you're a leader, but you're also on the ground serving those that your organization is intending to help and to assist.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So in terms of your travels and in terms of seeing so many different places, so many, plights of different people, what area would you say has impacted you the most? Or what is it that tends to, soften your heart the most?
I grew up in a refugee camp. I lived in the refugee camp until I finished the high school. So we've seen a lot in the heart in the refugee camps. But at the same time, when we go to certain areas, it's like Wajir, for example, that's extreme life. It's really heartbreaking to see. It's the weather is extremely hot. It's full of diseases. You don't know what is going to bite you. Wild animals on the streets. When I go to that area, I get terrified. So this is and right now when you go see what's happening in Gaza. So before it was Yemen, Syria. Unfortunately, most of the disasters are in the Muslim world. Yeah. And now you don't know. You see the bombing, you don't really know which country. It used to be, we only see it in Palestine. Now it's all over. Unfortunately, those are man-made disasters, can be easily avoided.
Yeah, subhanallah. And, it's definitely puts things in perspective, I think, for us, where we see, even in the video that we watched, despite all of the harsh circumstances, we see smiles on the faces of the children. We keep seeing on the news, despite everything that's happening in Gaza and the loss that's occurring, people kind of being so grateful for, a tent that a relief organization maybe has helped put up, and we see on the tents written, هذا من فضل الله, and كلمة alhamdulillah, the words alhamdulillah constantly being repeated. So I think there's no other work that teaches us gratitude for what Allah has blessed us for as much as the work of humanitarian relief, because you see what others may be struggling with and the simplicity of thanking Allah for what they do have.
Well, this actually lead me to a point that we really need to raise our kids Islamically, raise them really well. Look what happened right now in Sudan even. So, civil war. So, you don't really know what might happen to anyone. No one is exempt. So when we raise our kids that depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they know after all the hardship, the ease is going to come. This will give them hope. And if we start in an early age, so our job become a lot easier when they grow up and when the hardship happens. So, and I think that's what happened in Gaza. That's what happened in many places, but especially in Gaza, you see it very clearly. That's they've been raised really well.
SubhanAllah, that's true. That's true. So speaking of children and raising our children and families, I'd love to kind of learn a little bit more about, your personal life, family, children, what do you do when you're not at UMR?
Well, lately, unfortunately, my wife passed away back in December. She was really carrying a lot of load off my back, and she was very much helping on the house most of the time, plus her volunteer work in the community. But I have 4 children. Now I have to be like a dad and a mom at the same time, and I'm trying to spend as much time with them as possible. And alhamdulillah, they are good kids, and I enjoy spending time with them, and I regret that I did not spend much time with them before. But it's our excuse always that we are part of this ummah, and if something happened, we always need to be with them and try to help them. Alhamdulillah, they got this point and they understand how busy I was. But I advise all the parents, spend time with your kids. Spend time with your family. Try to balance between life and work. I know it's a nice slogan and it's very difficult to implement, but we have to try as much as we can because those are our direct responsibility. So we cannot neglect raising the kids Islamically.
Absolutely, absolutely. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I'm sorry to hear about your wife's passing. But subhanAllah, I think, like you said, the children are there, and sometimes even when we can't be present for our children, they do see the work that you are doing. And I'll often see, even in my children, despite not always being able to be at every soccer game or every school play, them having a sense of, connection and pride with the community because they know that work is important as well.
Yes, alhamdulillah. We have to try to balance. I know it's difficult, but we have to keep trying.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for the viewers who are just watching and just joining us now, we're happy to have on our show Dr. Abed Ayoub, who is the president and CEO of UMR, which is a sponsor of this program, Balancing Deen and Dunya. Let's take another quick break to watch another video from UMR.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Deen, and right now I'm here in Kenya with UMR, and we actually drove about 2 hours out of Wajir, and we came to this very small village. Right now behind me is a dam of very, very dirty water because this is the only water that's accessible to these people who live in these villages right now. Right now I have two brothers beside me. I have Muhammad, I have Dawood. My brother Dawood, he had 100 camels. He had over 100 camels as his livestock, and that was his source of living. But because there's a drought here in this area in Kenya, all of his livestock, all of his 100 camels have died because of a drought here, because of over extreme heat and not enough access to clean water. Humans and animals are both affected from this drought. 100 camels, over 600 goats, over 600 sheep, and now he has only less than 50. And my brother Muhammad is going through the same situation where he had livestock of a lot of sheep and a lot of goats, but because of the drought, he's left with next to zero. Right? And we're here right now to just spread awareness about this situation, that here in Kenya, there are a lot of people like Dawood, like Muhammad, who are suffering from this drought. Imagine suffering in the heat all day, 24/7, during the daytime and during the nighttime, and you have nothing to drink. You don't have that fresh, refreshing beverage that you can drink, that clean water, that Pepsi, that cola. These people have nothing. So right now, I'm not even asking you to donate. I'm not asking you to give a dollar. I'm just spreading awareness to you about this situation. And that's why we came here. We drove 2 hours just to see this situation. And these brothers, they need our help. So I'm just here to spread awareness, and I'm here to make this video.
So subhanAllah, I think, again, watching the video, we recognize, just how difficult circumstances can be for our brothers and sisters in different areas of the world. And sometimes in our cocoons of comfort, we don't really realize what others may be experiencing. Brother Jay mentioned something I think that's very critical and relevant, particularly during the month of Ramadan. And he spoke about the importance of clean water and, the community in this remote village in Kenya not having access to clean water and how that impacts their livestock, it impacts their livelihoods, and it impacts themselves. During this month of Ramadan in particular, what would you advise our viewers in terms of, increasing the spiritual connection, maybe recognizing what it is that they have, and particularly anything that you'd guide them towards in terms of understanding the importance of water wells, and the work that UMR does in that space?
We always have a personal responsibility, and we have also a responsibility toward the Ummah. And when you look at what's happening in Africa with all of these famine, famine can be easily avoided. Famine, you can deal with it. So we can dig a lot more, water wells. We can build dams. We can help these people. So if you're really part of the Ummah, and it's not only the Muslims, so we're talking about the entire mankind, so the entire humanity, because the humanitarian work is from a human to human. It's not just from Muslim to Muslim. It's from human to human. But whatever we can do, we should do it. So right now it's too political. It's what's happening in Africa. So we know these are political situation too. The government have the responsibility, especially the rich government who have the money, to help the poor governments. We as a human being, we have the responsibility toward these people. In Africa, back in 2011, I believe, when the famine hit, 29,000 people died in Somalia and in Kenya. And we can save lives. We can save lives if we put our heads together, if we join forces. The civil society work with governments. We work with the private business. We can do a lot. So the problem when we become selfish, we become self-centered. We only want to save our own soul. We want to save our own families, and we neglect what's happening around us. So this is not how Islam taught us. So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam encouraged us to help others. And what we say in Arabic, خير الناس أنفعهم بالناس. Best among people, those who are helping other people, who are more beneficial to other people. So we need to try our best to teach our kids how to be generous, how to be helpful to others as much as we can. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So whatever we can do, we should do. And we should be stingy with our even knowledge, with our time to volunteer, whatever. It's not only money. So whatever you can do, you should do.
SubhanAllah, yeah. And it's so true. We know that we're advised in the Quran that if one person saves the life of another, it's as if they've saved all of humanity. So what would you advise our viewers who may be looking for opportunities to volunteer, opportunities to give back? How can they get involved with the work at UMR?
Contact us. Tell us what you can do. We take professional volunteers, who, like doctors, for example, if they want to go on missions and so on. They can work with us if you are in a medical field, or if whatever you can do, just tell us what you can do, and inshallah we can put you at work with us.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, are there many UMR chapters throughout the US, or is the organization primarily existing as a virtual organization that spreads out relief work, or how can they find like physical locations maybe of UMR?
We are in almost 33, we have 33 chapters, university chapters. If you are students, just contact us. We are willing to open more chapters. If you are in an area that we do not have a chapter, we will open one for you. And inshallah, we can give you an opportunity even to go to the field, see, how people live and how you can help them, whether in the United States or outside the United States. So just contact us and tell us what you can do, and inshallah we'll find a place for you.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. So for all of our viewers who are just joining us, we've had our episode today with Dr. Abed Ayoub, who is the president and CEO of UMR, which is a sponsor of this program, Balancing Deen and Dunya. He's spoken to us a little bit about his work in the field, his journey from being a refugee, being raised in a refugee camp, and how that has propelled him forward to want to give back to the community. We got to watch some videos about the work that UMR is doing, the amazing, incredible work that they're doing in remote villages, such as the one that's right outside of Kenya, and seeing the importance of water and ensuring that there is access to clean water for everyone. So in the last few minutes of our program, Dr. Abed, is there any other words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our viewers with, or anything you'd like to remind us with before we wrap up?
Well, I would say do not belittle anything. So whatever you can do, just do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us on the intention. So people judge us on the action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge the intention. So always we have to renew our intention and make sure that our work is sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us to make the right decision and to do the right thing. So, and for the organizations, I always, advise the organization to learn the law of the land, make sure that we're always in compliance. As we know, most of the organizations is being watched, and any little mistake, can lead to disasters. So compliance is extremely important. Make sure that anything you do is actually in compliance.
Yes, absolutely. No, Jazakallah khair for that advice and for those final words. And thank you for being on our show. Thank you to UMR for being a sponsor of this program, and for ITV USA for producing this program. I hope that all of our viewers will join us again every day in Ramadan as we get to meet inspirational community leaders who are changing the way that American Muslims live every day. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum.